You know, part of the reason I got involved in Congress and part of what I feel so passionately about is the idea of accountability, that our country is so different than most every other country in the world. We do things different. We are self-critical. And being self-critical, it allows us to improve. We shouldn't be afraid of that. And so one of the commitments I had early on is I wanted to make sure that I made things as transparent as I possibly could. The government, in my opinion, does too much. We're involved in just about everything. And it's not the government's money that's out there, and it's not the government employees. It's actually the people's money, and it's the people's employees. And so we all work for the people of the United States of America. They've paid for it, and in my opinion, they have the duty, the opportunity to see how their money is being spent. We want to make sure that it's done efficiently and effectively. But none of that takes place unless the government is truly open and transparent. So early on in the process, one of the things we found time and time again is that the public's right to know, their access to that information, was being impeded. And the Freedom of Information Act was implemented a long, long time ago. And I think the concept and the principle was sound. The idea was that they have this freedom of information. I mean, that says it all. It was one of the better named programs out there. And as we started down that process and looked at what was happening, time and time again, we ran into people that were just so frustrated, whether it be the person at home who simply wants to learn more about their government, the media who wants to report on what the government is doing or not doing, outside organizations, groups that have come together to make sure that government is transparent, a lot of sunshine-oriented organizations that want to get their access to this information. And then, of course, you have companies that are involved in lawsuits and other types of things. They, too, want to see this information. And as we looked at it, it was very apparent that, A, the government was doing a terrible job of this. And I'm not trying to pick on any one administration. It was a growing problem. What you saw was this rapid rise in the number of requests, people who got frustrated, and so they'd place 2, 3, 4 requests for the same information. And yet, most of it was not fulfilled. It was literally by the hundreds of thousands, requests were being denied. And so there was a good work that was done by a number of members. Darrell Issa and Elijah Cummings had come together on a FOIA bill. And as I was fortunate enough to become the chairman of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, one of the things that we looked at was their piece of legislation, and we tried to figure out how to improve it. And so there was a process we went through. We had literally 2 days of hearings to try to get the whole gambit of people to come in and express their ideas, their frustrations, so we could learn from that. And we put together a really good, solid bipartisan bill. It got even stronger as we moved through that process. I also knew that it had to be bipartisan. If one side of the aisle or the other tried to jam it or push through just their agenda, there was no way it was going to actually become law. So I'm very, very proud of the fact that we were able to get both sides of the aisle, good work again, with a lot of members to develop something that was truly bipartisan. And as we got that to the committee and then we took it to the floor, it really did sail through. But it was a lot of work by a lot of people over a long period of time. And I guess the important message to you today, and something that I take to heart as well, is that it cannot stop. Government's going to change, technology is going to change, the Federal Records Act is going to change. And so as we look at FOIA and the Freedom of Information Act, we've got to make sure that that tool, one of the tools that we have out there, that remains strong and vibrant, and that we remain vigilant on that.